Wow, this is something extremely nice. I was very lucky just recently. I came across a couple of solenoid engines which were being sold on eBay, same seller. And I thought, oh, these look interesting. Anyone who watches my channel knows that I'm extremely interested in electromechanical engines of any description, solenoid engines, electromagnetic engines, whatever. I've even made a few myself. But any odds and ends that come up that are in this line, I'm always interested in. So I thought, well, I'll have a go at these. They were on auction, and there are a few other people interested, but I was very lucky and I managed to win both auctions. So this is the first of the two engines. This is a twin solenoid, obviously made to look like a twin cylinder steam engine. And it's a very interesting engine for several reasons. Now, I haven't dusted it or cleaned it or anything. This is straight out of the packaging, and I want to give a shout out here to the guy that sold this to me, Peter. He did an absolute cracking job of packing these engines up, and I will put some. I don't normally do unboxing videos, but I took some pictures of the packaging because it was just so good, and I'll put those at the end of the video. I mean, thank you, Peter. You did an absolutely cracking job on this. So, what's so interesting about this particular engine then? Or both of them in fact? Well, Peter didn't know an awful lot about the history of these. He believes that they were both scratch built, made in the 1950s, which I think he's probably right on that front. But there's a couple of interesting things I've spotted already, and I've only really just had a look at these, you know, within the last hour or so. And we'll let it come round and to this side, and I'll stop it and I'll zoom in. You've probably seen this already. But let's have a closer look. There we go. The crankshaft is running in a ball race bearing here, and the same on the other side, which, you know, for a scratch built engine, particularly going back into the 50s, it's quite an interesting, you know, thing to do, really. And it's very well made. All the brass fittings and everything are extremely well made. He's made up the covers himself or herself, whoever made it, for the solenoids. He's made these up. They're either brazed or welded. I'll take one of them off so you can have a look, because that shows yet another interesting feature of this engine. And also, it's a very large. They're both very large engines. I mean, there's my hand, so you can see how big it is. I mean, look at the size of that flywheel. Your flywheel's enormous. Probably weighs a couple of pounds. Absolutely massive flywheel. So, yeah, they're interesting for various reasons. They both work. He did say that this one didn't run. He was trying to run them on 12 volts, which is what I think they were probably designed to run on. This one needs about 15 volts to get it going. I think it's probably because the flywheel on this one is so heavy. But let me take one of the covers off. Okay, so here it is with one of the covers. There are two knurled nuts on the top, as you can see here, and they thread down onto these bolts and hold the cover on. Now, this is another aspect of this engine which I think is very interesting. The solenoid coils appear to be hand wound, so I think he's actually made his own solenoids for this engine, which again is, you know, not everyone can do that. You know, you need to know what you're doing, you know, and yeah, got mica washers at either end. Yeah, it looks, you've got a nice brass bushing for the solenoid conrod here. All very nice. Very nicely put together. No, whoever made this really knew what they were doing, and they've done a cracking job on it. So I'm going to get the power supply down here and the bench power supply and get it connected up, and you can see it running. Right, we've got the twin cylinder solenoid connected up to the power now. This run requires a little bit more voltage to actually get going. I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, this is a considerably heavier flywheel, so it might have something to do with it. But I think it will normally start. I've got it on just about 14 volts. Yes, it runs quite happily on 14 volts. Let's drop the voltage down a little bit and see whether it will keep running. That's just over 12 volts. Which it will run out, obviously, but I think probably the problem Peter had was it won't start at this voltage. You need a little bit more oomph to get it going. Right. But it runs very well. It's very quiet. But then again, as I said, you know, you've got ball race bearings both sides on the crankshaft, so it's going to run smooth as silk, isn't it? You know. There was one interesting thing I did notice when I was examining the contact breaker system that the designer and builder has used on this engine. I'll come in on that so you can have a look. Now, where's my pointy stick gone? Oh yeah, right. These are wafer switches here, both sides. And you'd think that the contacts would be the two wafers, but they're not. The two wafers are completely shorted together on each side. And the return for power is on the actual crankshaft. So the contact is between the cam lobe, the thing that's rotating, and this side of the contact breaker. I'm not quite sure why he's done that. Maybe it was an afterthought, or maybe he thought possibly they weren't meaty enough, the actual contacts on these wafer switches. I don't know. But anyway, that's what's actually happening. It's not these contacts here are not doing anything. So interesting. But there you go. Another lovely, lovely engine. And I just wish I knew more about these. I really do. You know, back history on these things is always good. But I think these two are definitely the largest electromagnet engines that I've got. Alright, but flywheel on the Retro SteamTech electromagnet engine is probably slightly bigger diameter than this, but it doesn't weigh anything like this. So there you go. A very nice solenoid, twin solenoid electromagnet engine. Probably from around about the 1950s, definitely scratch built, very nicely done. That's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers.